My name is Aaron Jones, and honestly, I couldn't tell you how or when I ever wanted to be a police officer. Growing up, I never wanted to really be one. It just kind of happened, I would say. Growing up, I'm from San Bernardino. I grew up in the West Side, Delman Heights neighborhood, which is a dominantly it's a gang neighborhood. So growing up, I faced all the struggles that any young kid in that environment would face. And for me, police or becoming a police officer was the furthest thing from, my mind growing up. Just naturally, my family dynamic, which was single mother, being raised by my grandparents because of my mother's drug addiction, having a father, my real father wasn't around. So for me, growing up in the neighborhood with all the other neighborhood kids, we were influenced by a lot of the things that were going on. So when I was younger, coming up, a lot of the homies or the big homies, we were all like family. Our family here was friends. My grandmother here was friends with this person's grandmother, who's friends with this person's grandmother. So because of all of that whole dynamic, it was more of a family environment. So coming up when I was younger, seeing a lot of things that was going on, and then also having the last bit of the men and women who went through the civil rights movement, becoming a police officer really wasn't something that I fantasized or I really wanted to be. I couldn't really see it far outside the neighborhood to be anything other than what was there because of all my influences that were there. Sports, say football, basketball, baseball. Those are things that any kid in the inner city or in the hood dreams about, or becoming a rapper, or getting involved in music or something like that. So that's what we envision our way out. To be a police officer was the furthest thing, because all I ever knew about police officers was they come into the neighborhood, they break families apart, they take moms and dads away from their children, they take them to jail, they beat up the homies. They chase the homies, track them down, beat them up, go hands on, and that was my perception of what a police officer was. It was never anything positive. However, I remember we had the DARE program, and we had an officer, Chuck Green, who was, San Bernardino police officer for a very long time. And it was funny because when I became a police officer, I remember when he was my, a DARE program officer. So it was always a positive. That was the positive contact that I would have with being a police officer. Other than that, it was the neighborhood, it was the hood, it was the streets, and that was the negative, part of being a police officer that I observed. So I never had a fantasy, or I never wanted to be a police officer.